The reason why I say that I'm lawyer by passion is because I personally feel now India is such a diverse country, right? We have amazing culture.
Right.
Okay. What is it that you want to create awareness about? And 90% of the time, I have come up with people saying, okay, we want our students to be educated about criminal laws. We want our students to be, educated about constitution. Especially with the current assault and everything that is going on in the country, they want the students to also be aware about women-specific laws and provisions in this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to yet another exciting episode of the Manthan Mehta show, where we have, why should I introduce you? I request you to introduce yourself, please. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Manthan. Thank you for inviting me to your show. Hi guys, I'm Arrpita K Bhatt, lawyer by profession and passion, both. And I have done my master's and specialization in intellectual property rights. The reason why I say that I'm lawyer by passion is because I personally feel that there's this quote which is there in law which says ignorance of law is not an excuse.
Right.
And when I actually heard that quote, the first thing that came in my mind is that I need to be somewhere in some place wherein I can ensure that no citizen, at least those who are close to me, will ever take an excuse that I didn't know this was a law.
Interesting.
And that is one of the reasons why I went ahead and I formed BLUINYOU. And my idea and intention is to make the masses legally educated. So that's the place where I come from. Profession-wise, yes, I'm a lawyer and I work a lot into intellectual property rights space, which I feel is a perfect blend of creativity and profession.
Interesting. You spoke about BLUINYOU.
Yes.
What's with the name over there?
Okay, so during lockdown, when I was conducting a lot of webinars, I suddenly realized that it's time to do this at a very channelized scale. So I was thinking, what should I name it? It should be catchy, right? I just can't simply say that it is law padho, or I can't just simply say legal education. It should be at least catchy enough for masses to first time know what is it, I want to know it. Whether they know it after that or not is completely up to them.
True.
So BLUE came up with basic law understanding.
BLU.
BLU.
Okay.
And BLUE in you is basically a basic law understanding in an individual.
Okay.
So that's where I came up with BLUINYOU, which was catchy, so that citizens are a little interested.
Lockdown has been a blessing for many, because all of a sudden their creative side just blossomed in the lockdown thing.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's nice.
True.
So, and also intellectual property. Today, it is the talk of the town, where we have so many content creators, so many content is created, so many IPs are created. Can you throw some light on that area as well?
Yeah. So we all know that this entire Make in India that had started a few years ago,
Right.
All thanks to the ruling government that we had, people ventured into startups. People ventured into having some kind of their own entrepreneurship ventures. And intellectual property rights plays a very important role, because what happens is when an individual is starting at an initial scale, they are not aware that is the exact point when they are incepting their intellectual property. Which basically means, I'll give you an example. If you are into some kind of scientific invention, technological invention, right? So then in that case, let's say you have maybe invented something new, which is a gadget, or maybe invented something new, which is maybe a form of light, right? So then in that case, you can actually patent it. If something like that doesn't exist, then you can actually go ahead and patent that. Second thing is design. If you're into automobile industry, or if you're starting into, let's say I want to design a car maybe for a Tata or a Maruti, then in that case you design the car, you can actually go and protect that design. We have fashion industry, right?
Okay.
Fashion industry is one place where I feel counterfeiting happens at a very rapid scale.
Right.
But that is also one industry where design law, which is a part of intellectual property rights, plays a very important role. Any and every fashion designer who have their, I wouldn't say you should, kind of register each and every design of yours, but a patented design basically means that something which is very new, maybe something that is going to begin an era of change in fashion industry, you can go ahead and register it under the design laws. Then you have trademarks. So if you're a startup, first thing, my name of organization or maybe the logo, right? So then in that case, you can go ahead and you can register it as trademark. Then you move ahead with copyrights. If you're into creative industry, you're writing something, you're scripting something, oh, that is your own copyright. In fact, registration of copyright in India is not compulsory. But that is something which you should bear in mind. You can actually go ahead and register it. So tomorrow somebody is copying it, you have an evidential value. Hey, I already had this, I own this. The entire idea of IP is ownership.
And how complex is getting into all this and getting your legal right established on the content that you have created?
When I talk about complexity, since IPR is a bucket of different fragments of things. Patent in specific is very difficult when it comes to the registration aspect of it, right? However, copyright is something because creative people understand it well, and the law is also framed keeping in mind the creative people. Hence, they had said that, hey, listen, you don't need to register. That means, agar aap likh rahe ho koi kavita, likh lijiye, right? If you are really, thinking of establishing something like a film script, right? You need not go and actually register, but remember that that is your copyright. So the law is a little easy on registration process, but very convoluted on establishing who is the actual owner of the final product, right? Trademark, easy when it comes to understanding as well as registration aspect of it. Designs a little difficult because what happens is it takes a lot of time to actually convince some aspect of creative people, especially people like fashion designer, that you have a legal remedy to protect your design. The first thing that comes into mind of anybody who is creative or anybody who is new into any kind of field when it comes to IPR, thanks to our current generation, they at least relate to it, but to a little older generation, when you say IPR, oh, what is this? I mean, if it is my property, I know that I have to go and register, but what do you mean by, that I have to go and register my trademarks? Why do I even do that? That's okay, no one is going to copy it right now. I can do it 10 years later. But you don't know, after 10 years, you may not have that name available to you.
True.
I have seen instances wherein people took it like a laid-back attitude. 7 years later, they said, hey, Arpita, we want to register this particular name as trademark. And then you go ahead and you see somebody had already registered and is using since 6 years. So now you're late. So
interesting.
Those are the kind of things that are involved.
If I may ask, what are the laws that govern all these things?
There are different laws for each of them. Okay, trademark has its own Trademark Act. That is in
state or the central government?
These are all central government, all of them. Patent has its own Patent Act. In all these acts, rules also plays a very important role.
Okay.
Copyright has a Copyright Act 1957, which got amended a lot of times, especially 2012. And after that, there were rules that came into picture, and again, that also got revised. Then you have your design. So design has its own Design Act. There's something known as trade secret in IPR. Okay. Now this is very interesting. Let's say you're a chef, correct? And you want to really go ahead and prepare a recipe, and tomorrow you become a major burger giant maybe, right? So now the entire challenge is you are going to train chefs under you. At the same time, you have some X element or component in your burger. That's why people come back to you. Right? Now that cannot be revealed. That is trade secret, and trade secret is protected under intellectual property rights. There is no particular act as such for trade secret, but majorly confidentiality and the laws per se pertaining to trade secret is something that protects it. Then there is geographical indication. There's an entire act for it. This is also interesting, I'll tell you. Our generation will relate to this example, that's why I'm using it. Wine, okay? Wine are of particular territory, right? So we have something from Sula, same way champagne, right? Champagne is also from a particular territory. So whenever, let's say a food or a kind of drink that originates from a particular territorial place, then in that case, it gets a GI tag over a period of time. In India also, there are so many GI tags. I'll give you an example. You have Tirupati Balaji, you have Laddu of Tirupati Balaji. Now that is also geographical indication protected.
Okay.
So tomorrow in Mumbai, one cannot sell, okay, I ate the laddu, I know this is what it is made of, I will sell it saying this is Tirupati Balaji laddu. No.
Oh, okay.
You cannot do that.
So if someone has a board like these are Italian pizzas over
Oh yes, very true.
Italy can claim that this is ours. You need to give us a share of it.
Yes. And another extended aspect of IPR, which very less people talk about, is traditional knowledge. Now, India is such a diverse country, right? We have amazing culture.
Right.
Okay. So imagine the kind of knowledge that we have from ages.
Right.
There have been always a remedy. Oh, you got a cut on your finger. First thing you do is small cut. Okay, put turmeric on it.
True.
It has antiseptic value. Now what happened is somewhere in USA somebody made a medicine out of it and they said, hey, we just discovered that turmeric has an antiseptic value. Let's just go and patent it. India had to go there and stop it saying, hey, this was always our traditional knowledge.
Right.
You cannot just go and register it or patent such kind of processes. So the idea here is that at least 11 years back, India had the challenge. Okay, this is somewhere in 2012, wherein our traditional knowledge never had a repository. India के पास क्या है जो वो खुद का बता सकते हैं, इसका एक repository नहीं था. When I was doing my masters, I had my thesis entirely on traditional knowledge, and it's very interesting aspect because then you read so much about Indian culture, you read so much about Indian customs that has been there since ages, right? So fortunately, somewhere when 2013-14, with of course the change in everything, including the government, there has been a repository, a central repository of traditional knowledge where today if an individual wants to go and search up on internet that, hey, what is it, whether this belongs to India or not, they have that out there.
That data is out
yes.
there. Oh, nice.
Every citizen can know what is it, what are the customs that India followed since ages, which no one else in the world should go and patent.
Oh, nice. So if at all there was sort of a fight or there was a claim
right.
in the turmeric example that you gave, then who is the one who decides that this is right or wrong? Is there any international board or international thing that
well, of course there is international board. We also have World Intellectual Property Organization, which is there, which has a kind of mediation and arbitration mechanism that they follow. So what happens is if somebody is going and filing a patent in US, you have to actually go and protect yourself over there in that particular country.
Okay.
Or if somebody is doing it in UK, you have to go and protect yourself in that particular country. Ultimately, if you're not able to reach consensus, or if both the parties are okay that let's have a speedy trial of this, because laws differ, okay? If in India there is a process wherein ठीक है आप पहले प्रूव कीजिए ये आपका है उसके बाद रजिस्ट्रेशन दिया जाएगा. US has something very different when it comes to patent. पहले रजिस्ट्रेशन ले लो आप, फिर हम प्रूव करते रहेंगे कि किसको, you know, whom does it belong to. So now this is challenging, right? So what people can actually, parties can do is they can approach World Intellectual Property Organization. They can follow an arbitration and mediation mechanism and come to a consensus through that, which is very speedy. And like the name suggests, World Intellectual Property Organization, it covers all aspects of IP, and that organization is out there to actually invent and come out with different laws of IP.
Interesting. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So the content or anything that you create, be it a secret recipe as well,
yes,
you could protect it in a way where legally that is your baby, that is your thing, and you have a legal right on it as well.
Absolutely.
And that can be transferred as well. I could officially transfer it.
Yes, that is where the monetization aspect of IP comes.
Right.
That's why people say that it's very important to establish the ownership so that you can monetize, you can license it, you can permanently assign it. Which basically means कि आपने कुछ बनाया, आपको लगा कि ठीक है, now I have used it for whatever 4-5 years and it has gained good commercial value. Let me sell it off.
Perfect. You
will completely assign it to XYZ party and take your share of, you know, monetization out of it.
Wow. Nice, nice, nice. Thank you so much. Thank you. So now moving aside, let's focus on the BLUINYOU concept. Apart from the IPR things, what all things do you feel that people should learn about, since you want that, you know, knowledge is something, or the availability of knowledge of the law is something that you want people to know about, or you are advocating about. So what do you feel that, what are laws people should be aware of?
See, right from the Constitution of India, which is the basic seed where all the laws emanate in India. That is the first piece of knowledge which I feel every individual should know. Randomly, we can't be trusting news articles wherein people, say that our constitution is in danger. Until and unless a citizen doesn't know the constitution, they will not be able to understand whether this is just a publicity stunt or it's actually in danger. So I want every individual to go through the constitution of India and know the basic rights as well as duties under the constitution. That's point number one. Point number two are criminal laws. Now entire criminal laws have actually revamped, right? I would say old wine in new bottle, or I would also say a touch of technology into the criminal law. That has happened now. So people should know that, okay, there is a law known as BNS, which is, kind of replaced IPC, and what all are the remedies that I have under the criminal law if I am the victim of some kind of crime. That is very important. Once you know what is it, the problem here in India is many a times the victim is scared of law. But once you know the basic law, you will not be scared of it.
True.
You will apparently use it as a tool in order to enforce it and to get justice out of it for yourself. So criminal law is point number two, which I want everybody to know. And the third aspect is actually environmental law.
Interesting.
Yes. I would say with the given pollution that keeps happening, right? With the given, lot of filth and lot of debris that is around, people should know that under environmental law, you actually have a mechanism to question corporations, to question state, or to an extent avail some kind of remedy under it. So these are the three laws which I feel is of utmost importance to every individual if they want to live in a very peaceful and safe manner in the country like India.
Nice. And you are working on making sure that everyone knows the basics.
Correct. So I work on it in very different aspects. Like all of it, I do it on pro bono basis. If there are people who invite me for webinars, if there are people who invite me for seminars, educational institutions do that. Schools do that. I'm very happy that schools are doing that. Okay. Then there are non-profit organizations that do that. So the idea here is when I approach any kind of organization or any kind of educational institution in place, my first question to them is, okay, what is it that you want to create awareness about? And 90% of the time, I have come up with people saying, okay, we want our students to be educated about criminal laws. We want our students to be, educated about constitution. Especially with the current assault and everything that is going on in the country, they want the students to also be aware about women-specific laws and provisions in this country. So with those different ideas in mind, I usually frame up the entire session focusing on that particular law as well as the judgments pertaining to those particular law that has arrived. So that is what I basically do.
Interesting. And that's fantastic. And do you work with startups as well, guiding them?
Yes. So I work with one of the educational institution which has an incubation center.
Lovely.
Wherein you usually have these startup and entrepreneurs coming up who are guided on time to time. So there my role is very different. Of course, over there I have to guide them with respect to companies law as well as intellectual property rights. So a blend of corporate law as well as IPR is something that we work on. So yes, I definitely do that.
Excellent. So you're making sure that the nation knows what their right is all about.
Yes, absolutely. And trust me, in past 10 years, there have been so many new laws, including, I'm sure you must be aware of it, there's a data privacy law that has come in India last year. Right? Now, data privacy law is actually an extended ambit, I would call it, of data as well as technology. Right? So in this law, now everything is set to change. Have you ever come across those, 2 p.m. or calls in the afternoon that, sir, do you want loan?
Yes.
Right. Or, sir, we are providing health insurance cover. We thought we can just sell it to you. All of this will change. Imagine how did that individual get your data? Somewhere, some organization has leaked it, of course. Especially when you provide your data in pen and paper format. I have this personal perception that the leakage happens there. If you go to a bank are of course liable under the IT Act when it comes to selling data. If you go to any organization, even your telecom service providers, when you provide data, they are also obliged under the laws, including telecom laws, that they cannot sell the data. So where does this happen? If you go to any kind of exhibition, or if you're going to, I have observed this one thing, malls have this kiosk towards the exit. They say, oh ma'am, how much did you purchase for? Did you purchase above 5,000? And then you're like, oh yeah, oh we have a lucky draw here. Why don't you fill up this small form which has your name, mobile number and all, and we will contact you. You never get contacted, but the thing is your data is getting circulated. Yes, so nothing is free in this country. I personally say this, especially if somebody is taking your data and telling you, yes, absolutely, they are going to monetize using your data. So that is going to change, because data privacy law is going to make every organization responsible that if you are going to use an individual's data, have they given you the permission?
Right to do it.
Yeah. Do they know that they have the right to withdraw it?
Right.
Okay. Are they aware that they can update their information? Are they aware where all are you selling the data? To whom all vendors are you giving it for usage? Sometimes people give it for advertising purpose, right? This happens online also. So yeah, all these places, some places also sell it to advertisers.
That was an interesting thing. That is, what if at all someone defaults and the data is still leaked? So what's the remedy? I mean, how would they be penalized?
Correct. The penalty under this law is very huge. Penalty ranges somewhere from 50 crore for each instance to 250 crores for each breach.
Wow.
Imagine. And this is the first time any law in India has such huge quantum of penalty.
Wow. Thank you so much for Arpita for spending time with us and enlightening us on all these legal aspects. Truly someone who is watching this has learned something new about it, and they would definitely contact you online by searching you online for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to the show. Thank you once again.
Pleasure.